Well, good morning everybody. It's another day for another camp, I'm very pleased to say. So before we leave today, well, it's not going to be for a few hours yet, I'm going to show you all the different things I'm going to be putting in my bag today. Now, I am not experienced, okay? I've just assembled the things that so far have worked for me, and there's nothing missing that I'm aware of. So I'll just give you a quick run through of that, and then the next shot will be me walking to the campsite tonight. Okay, in no particular order, I've got my fleece liner here for the sleeping bag. I've got my gas. I've got a microfiber towel. It's surprisingly useful for things like wiping down the tent, or if you have any spillages, very, very useful. Here, this is actually a very, very lazy confession that I've got this, but believe it or not, this is a little inflator for my mattress. So literally it's USB chargeable, and you press the button on the bottom and that's what you get, and it takes probably about just over a minute or so to inflate the mattress fully. So very impressive little thing that. Waterproof trousers. Not had to use these yet, but I think they're a definite take for every camp, to be fair. This is my mattress, Thermarest NeoAir. This one is an extra long, extra wide one. I want complete comfort. I can't stand the idea of not being able to sort of turn over in my sleep. Okay, we've got a hat, we've got a head torch, we've got a backup torch for emergency, a pair of thin-insulate gloves. This is my inflatable pillow. This is my tent, Van Gogh Helvellyn 2000, or 200 rather. Very nice tent, if I might say so, for the money. Very, very good. This is my camping stove, and within that, of course, there's the included pan, which I use as a cup as well. There's also a plastic cup inside there. That's my foil blanket, must have to keep the cold away. These, I'm not sure whether I'm taking them, but I have them here just in case. Obviously you can see what they are. They're just plastic receptacles for food and a spork. This is my sleeping bag, Rab Solar Eco 4. Very impressive sleeping bag, very comfortable and does keep you warm. This is a superb piece of kit. I don't even know if there's brands on it, is it? Anyway, basically you can see what it is. It's a power bank stroke camping light, and I think this was from Amazon, something like that. But the great thing is it's got the time on it, tells you the temperature, tells you how much is in the battery, and you can turn a backlight on for the LCD display. And this has got various light settings on it. You can have it, that's the backlight there, I'm just turning on. And then the actual light itself, sorry, I'm trying to find out what the button is now. It's been a while since I've used it. Where's the button? Oh, there we go, it's on the other side, my stupidity. So yeah, so you can switch it on there, and you've got various sources of light and various strengths. You can turn it, brightness up and down. This is on a sort of soft glow light. You can have a bluer light, but when you're wanting to chill out, you want a nice warm light. That's the bluer light, although it probably just looks white on the screen. And then you've got a flashing red beacon for emergencies as well. That's the SOS that it's flashing there. So very, very useful piece of kit, and the battery in it's quite large. Let's see what it says on it. Capacity, can't even see, need my glasses. I think it's 10,400 milliamp hours. So you'll get a phone charge out of that, definitely. Obviously, much needed piece of kit. Whiskey, I've got about half a hip flask full here. This is my jerry can, or my hip flask. This has basically got a built-in carbon filter in the top here. I'll just unscrew it and show you. So yeah, you can fill this with water from the river, and then you basically just squirt it out for the top. It does take a while for it to come through the filter, but still a very, very useful piece of kit. And I've found so far that's enough water to last me for the night. Someone who's a light sleeper like me, these are a must-have. This tent can be a little bit noisy when it's rustling in the wind. There's no other real other noises that are a problem, to be fair, but still I'd rather be covered. Okay, spare clothes. We've got a t-shirt here, pair of socks. These are a pair of cycling leggings, but they're useful as sort of basically just sort of keep your legs extra warm in the night time if need be. Here I've got a bag full of toothbrush, flannel, a bit of deodorant. I've even got a little tiny bottle of shower gel that I can use. I just basically put a bit of water into the stove, heat it up, and I've got just enough to give my face a wash. Here we've got the bag of food. We've got a little bottle of milk here for my brews. That's going to be a rubbish bag. We've got some whole grains here, which I'm going to put in alongside this in my stove. So hot chicken curry from Lidl, nice and cheap. Also got in there a cup of soup, some tea bags and a coffee, and also again very, very useful, a bit of toilet roll, massively useful. Now, I don't intend to do a number 2 out there obviously, but still, toilet roll, still just a useful thing to have. And I think that's everything. So yeah, I will see you when we make a start on the walk. So we're just about to exit civilization and head towards joy. This is the narrow path to joy. Just in old Glossop here. And eventually this path is going to take us up the moor. Well, we're going to branch off this path actually and then go up the moor, which is directly in front of us. And the aim is to get not to the hill in the very distance, but the one to the left there you can just see peeping out. Just behind that, I believe, is where we're heading for. It's got these rock formations, but as we get nearer to it we'll see for sure. But looking at the maps, that's where I'm heading for, so onwards we go. So this bridge leads to a footpath which takes you up the wooded hill in front of us, which is called Shire Hill. And there's a quarry on the other side of that hill, and I believe it's one of a few hills around here that's the site of an ancient burial mound. There's hundreds and hundreds, thousands of the things in around Derbyshire, so probably most hills you see has got some sort of history on that front. Just looking back from where we've come there, in the distance you can see the industrial buildings. That's old Glossop. The hill beyond that is called Werneth Low. It's got 2 sort of telephone masts or TV masts on top of it. And to the left here we've got Shire Hill. And we're heading towards Mossy Leaf Farm, which you might be able to just see down there in the valley. We're not going as far as Mossy Leaf Farm. We're going to be breaking off to the left and heading up towards I'm not sure if it's that hill. I think the hill we're going to is still out of sight, but it'll soon be in sight. Another 5 minutes, I reckon we'll be able to see it. Okay, directly in front of us is Mossy Lee Farm, and as you can see, the road here goes around this corner and eventually takes you back onto the A57 Snake Pass. And coming through the trees now is where we're heading, or where I'm heading. But of course you're all with me on the journey, so yeah. Let's get past this dried out tree, and voila, that is where we're heading. So lots of rocks around there. I'm hoping that around the sort of middle of there should be some nice flat areas on top. I looked on the All West map and on Google Earth, and it looks like there's plenty of spots. By the time I get up there, should be some pretty spectacular views as well. So here's where we're going. So here's the bridge, or one of the bridges, and just here is where I'm branching off to the left. So it's a Roman road. I've noticed that people that present these programmes about history often say their R's like that, a Roman road. Anyway, the Doctor's Gate path is what this is, obviously, but I'll be branching off to the left and going up the moor towards those rocks. So I've just reached the fork now where the Doctor's Gate path carries on over to the right, and we're going up this way. Now I'm hoping this path actually does go sort of up the spine of that hill there with the rocks on it. I have been up there once, but I went more to the right, so I'm not entirely sure where the main path goes, but the objective of course will be to be away from the main path, to get some seclusion and some privacy. So yes, on we go. So that's where we've just come from, and this in front of us here, as a pan to the right, you see this dark topped hill here. This is, I believe, Glossop Low. It's another potential place to camp. In fact, it would be very satisfying if I could walk back that way tomorrow morning. However, what I don't know yet is, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but between Glossop Low, or whatever that hill's called there, and where we're going with the rocks on, there's a large valley, and I don't know how far that extends to the right, because I'd need to walk to where that becomes where I'm able to quite easily cross over to the top of Glossop Low and then drop back down to Old Glossop. So that's something we'll find out as we go, but I'll be examining the maps later when we get in the tent. I've got the Ordnance Survey map downloaded for this area, so I'll have a really good look. Whew, that was quite a climb with this backpack on. Anyway, we're in the area I want to be. That view is just amazing. If it only wasn't so overcast. The weather report does say it will clear for a couple of hours later. So hopefully we'll have some nice views of the night sky and the lights of Manchester and Glossop. Now I'm at the point where I'm thinking, this is where I want to be. I mean, I might continue a bit further up, just to the very top of there. But I must admit, this here, it looks like an amazing spot to camp. However, it's right next to the path. I think this path is a minor path, but I've literally just seen a guy walking his dog, so it's obviously still in use. So I could linger around here until it starts to get closer to twilight. But I think what I'll do is just to use the time, seeing as there still should be at least another hour of daylight, I'm going to head up there. Look at that for a natural shelter, eh? Superb. I don't think you'd be able to stay in here because of the floor. It goes down a fair way actually. It goes down there. But yeah, that would shelter you in the storm, believe me. Fabulous. You find all sorts of wonderful things like this out in the peaks. So worth just going for an explore. Especially when you come off the beaten path a little bit. You find some really cool things. And that is cool. Oh yeah. Right, I've come back to that original spot. At least I think it's this spot anyway. It's going to have to be this one. I've had a good old yomp about. Can't find anything. There is a little minor path here. I mean, it might just be a sheep trail. It looks like a bit more than that though. It does look like people walking it. However, it's not one of the main paths. That's my hope anyway. So hopefully I'll be the last one up here now, because it's going to be dark in, well, certainly within the hour. So I'm going to risk it for a biscuit and go for it right here, because it's about the flattest spot I could find and the grass isn't too long, and it's perfect in terms of its position with that beautiful view over the top of it. So let's get the tent up. Well, that wasn't that straightforward, because as you can see there's some rocks strewn around here, and the hooks, the pegs rather, most of them are only going in about 3/4 of the way. In fact, this one here at the front here is really not so great. Let's see if I can do something about this one here. But I've even bent them trying to get them in. But that's what sometimes happens, so that's alright. Got to make sure I don't trip over it in the night when I'm going for a waz, so that's a bit better than it was. Anyway, beautiful. Although the spot looks flat, again we've got a downhill there which my head would have been at, so I've moved to this side of the flat spot and this is better. I think this time we're probably a little bit towards the right there, but it's better than having my head drooping down. I can't stand that, so this should be fine. It's a beautiful spot, and I'm just hoping and praying that I don't get any passers-by from now on until I wake up, pack up and get out of here. So looking over this direction, I did go up to the top there and have a little look around. That valley is quite big, but as it continues along it gets smaller and smaller, and I think there'll be a point where I can cross over it and come back over Glossop Low, which is my plan for tomorrow morning. Make this into a really enjoyable circular walk. So yeah, that's the plan. So now I'm going to get on my gear, get all set up, and then once I'm in I'll see you for a brew. Well, we're all set up. It didn't take long, definitely measurably quicker than last time. There again, this is only the third time, but yes, it's a nice quick learning curve. Look at my patio. My patio doors have got a lovely view outside them today. Superb. Okay, well, while I've got a bit of light, I might as well just do a little bit of talking about this tent. Now, I think I paid 170 for this. I will double check, but pretty sure it was 170. And I think it's a heck of a lot of tent for the money. Heck of a lot. I bought, since I last saw you. Oh no, actually I had the footprint, didn't I, last time I made the video. That was, I can't remember what you paid for that. That was about 20 or 30 quid, I think. Again, I'll check prices and I'll put them into the description, or just put them in text on the screen for you. So what I'd say, pros and cons about this tent. Is it easy to put up? Well, I've never put a tent up before, apart from a kid's one. So this is my first proper tent, and it is actually quite easy to put up. It needs a bit of coaxing when you're putting the tent poles through. They go into eyes. Yeah, so if I just show you this down here. So that's where the end of the pole goes into this sort of, it's like a metal eye there in this cord, and it can take a little bit of persuading to get him in there. But the thing is, what I like about it is it's got 3 poles. I'll just get out and show you the shape of it. So you've got pole this side, another one the other side, that comes all the way back over the tent there, all the way, crosses over like that, all the way to the back. And you've got this one here at the front that forms like an arch all the way over the front, and it's all tensioned with these guidelines, obviously. The guy lines, rather. Is it guide or guy? I think it's guy lines. So it's a really strong tent, and if the way you're supposed to pitch it is if the wind's coming from this direction, then you basically want your feet going into the wind. And it makes sense. If you look at the shape of it aerodynamically, you can see it's lower that side than it is this side. So the porch there is just superb. You just can't fault the design of it, really. This is a 2-man tent, and as you can see, I've already shown you inside it, but yeah, there is plenty of room there. You could get another person in here, although I wouldn't want to share my space with another person, to be fair, because I'm a bit mean like that. But as I said, if I was going to do this, I was going to do it in comfort. So my only criticism of this tent so far is head height. I'm sitting on the ground here, on the ground sheet, and there's nowhere I can go really where my head isn't touching. And this is the highest point of the tent, but my head still touches it. Again, it's not a deal breaker. It'd be nice to have, 3 or 4 inches more height maybe, but I'm not going to complain about it because, this is a tent, it's not a house. In terms of how it performs in bad weather, I don't know yet because I haven't had that experience. I'm sure it will come at some point very soon. But things hopefully will actually be improving, if anything, with the weather now. Although we still might get some rain. But today is lovely and quiet and calm. There's not really a breath of wind. When I walked up to the top to see if there was any other possible sites to pitch, there was a little bit of a wind up there, maybe 5 miles an hour tops. But right now there's just nothing at all. So I'm delighted with my pitch. I can't see anyone around at the moment, so it's looking good. Hopefully this will be a nice secluded spot. And once the lights start switching on in the cities, it'll be hopefully even more spectacular than the view I had from the camp near Mill Hill. So we'll see. So the next thing to do is have a celebratory brew, I believe. So see you in a bit. So we're cosy in our tent. I've actually been here probably an hour and a half, 2 hours now. Just chilling, just taking it easy. I've had a little sip of whiskey. It's the same whiskey as I had last time, which is the Highland Park Dragon Legend. I only used probably 1/4 of a hip flask last time, so I've still got like half left at least, because I only filled it about 3/4 full. Anyway, so yeah, we're here and it's very quiet and still. Not a breath of wind at the moment. I'll just show you the lovely view again. I'm not sure whether the view is quite as spectacular as it was last week or 2 weeks ago on Mill Hill, but it's still lovely. I'll show you. A lot of the lights of Glossop are actually blocked by Shire Hill. Even though we're higher than Shire Hill, it's still not enough to clear it. But still beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I probably can't see on the camera, but no, the lights. You can see some of the headlights of the cars as they go up the Snake Pass towards Sheffield. Sadly, the sky is still very overcast. I was hoping it might clear and might be able to see some stars. If I do, I'll bring you back out and show you them. But for now, I'm going to start thinking about tea now, actually. So, I'll show you what I've got for tea. Right, so this is a little special hot chicken curry, and with it, rather than just having rice, I'm trying to be a little bit more healthy these days, so I'm going for 5 whole grains microwavable rice and grains. And then for a snack, absolutely love these things, again from Lidl, pine nuts. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things, and healthy too. So yes, we're having luxury and we're having health. So all in all, a rather excellent combination. Come on, luxury. Luxury lads and ladesses. Normally it would be a curry night on a Friday, so there's no reason why not to have one in a tent. Okay, I know it's not a takeaway, I know it's not authentic BIR curry, but still, I'm very glad of it. It's not bad living like this, is it really, eh? Not bad. I think it's a very nice way to follow curry by having a little bit of mulligatawny cuppa soup. Yes, where's my spoon? I've had to shut the patio doors because we're getting gnats in. Not the little ones that bite, but them little ones that look like mini daddy long legs, if you know what I mean. Anyway, it's safe and cosy inside our lovely little tent. It's fantastic. As I keep saying, this is living. And in a world that's so broken, to get away and do this once in a while just helps you to keep your sanity. There's no doubt about it. You know, one of the most satisfying things about camping is that when you've walked out to the countryside, normally you've got to go back. You might be able to spend a little bit of time there, but you've got to go back home at the end of the day. Glorious thing is, I don't need to go back home. This is my hotel for the night. So I can just sit and look at this lovely view, chill out. All I can hear is just the silence and just the odd bird call. It's just, yeah, I think you've probably gauged by now that I quite enjoy this pursuit. I'm very glad I found it. Generally I go from fad to fad, hobby to hobby, but I've always consistently loved being in the countryside and walking and cycling. So this was the next progression really, and it's come about because of inspiration of seeing other YouTubers do it. So YouTube has its uses, doesn't it? Finding new hobbies, meeting people who've got similar hobbies to you, finding out more about your hobby so that you can hone your skills. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, you probably won't be able to see the phone screen very well using the camera, so what I'll do is I'm going to screen record this on the phone. Let's just do that. Right, hopefully that's recording
If not, you'll have to do with what you can see on the camera here. So anyway, so here's Glossop. This is the Ordnance Survey map, and we've walked towards Old Glossop, which is over here, and we've gone around Shire Hill, past Shire Hill. I'll just move in a little bit here. So there's Mossy Lee Farm, which we passed, and where the main path went to the right and met the A57 again, we went up to the left on this fork here, and we are come up the moor. That green path there is Doctor's Gate path, and we've ended up here at a place called Shelf Benches. Switch this round, there we go, Shelf Benches, and the little red arrow is me. So yeah, happiness. From here it's interesting because I'm getting to know the topography a bit more and the names of places, which is pretty important to be able to do, really. So Glossop Low is further over than I thought it was. In fact, I think what we could see when I was pointing earlier on and called it Glossop Low, I think is actually Yellow Slacks, because Glossop Low is over here. There again, it's higher in elevation, so no, maybe we could see the top of Glossop Low. And then we've got Cock Hill, Blackshaw Clough, and then Blakemore Plantation. I'm hoping that what we'll be able to do tomorrow is to walk basically this direction over towards Yellow Slacks. This is that valley. This is, you can see the stream there. It's called Yellow Slacks Brook, and I'm hoping to be able to sort of move around that, pass onto this place called Harrop Moss, past this thing called Dog Rock, which I've heard about. Wouldn't mind seeing what that's all about. And then this black path here will take us over Yellow Slacks, and what we'll do is we'll end up, the path goes basically down the edge of here, the edge plantation, sorry, Blakemore Plantation, because I know the path skirts along there, and then basically it drops us down here back into Old Glossop, where we started. Well, not where we started, but where we passed through today. So yeah, hopefully this screenshot thing has worked. If not, I'm hoping that the video has worked. We live in hope. Well, it's that time of the night, ladies and gentlemen, where I'm having a total whiskey now. I'm not going to be reviewing this one because it's exactly the same one that I had on the last camp. I've got about half a hip flask left of that, so that's excellent. And yeah, I'm going to probably turn in about half an hour, maybe an hour. If there's any decent skies that develop, if the clouds clear away and I start to be able to see the stars, I'll try taking some footage, but I haven't really got a camera that's able to cope with that, I don't think. My phone has got some settings on it which might allow me to do a long exposure, but I'm not holding out much hope. Anyway, I'll say good night to you all, and I will be back in touch in the morning. And as I always like to say, don't have nightmares. Good night. Good morning, folks and folkesses. It's a nice fresh morning this morning. Slept okay. Water on the boil for a brew. I'm not going to show you my face yet because, as I said, it takes about 2 or 3 hours to look vaguely human. Anyway, it's 7:20, and as it seems to be par for the course now, my sleep was quite sporadic, shall we say. But all in all, I reckon I've probably got a good 6 or 7 hours in, so it'll be enough for us to function today, that's for sure. So I'll have my brew, I'll get packed up, and I'll see you when I make a decision on which way I'm going to go to get back. Okay, it's approaching 8:20. We're all packed up. That's where I was. As always, we leave no trace. So the route, I'm hoping, because I don't quite know what happens at the brow of this hill here, but anyway, we'll get to the brow of the hill and we're going to head over to the right, and the valley between the hill I'm on here and that's Yellow Slacks over there, So that's Yellow Slacks Brook running through that valley. So the idea is to be able to get to a point where I can cross the valley without it being too much of an ordeal, and then make a nice route along Yellow Slacks there and dropping back down, and it'll take us back down to the path just beyond where the farm is down there in the bottom of the valley. So that's the idea. Got plenty of time to do it, so I'm just going to slowly trudge on and enjoy the walk. So we've had quite a bit of a scramble to get up to where I am now, and I'm opposite what I think is Dog Rock, just over there, the biggest formation you can see. So I'm going to need to still get across Yellow Slacks Brook in this valley here, but if you're looking over that direction, it's not that far before it looks like it's going to be shallow enough to cross, and then I can come all the way over the top, like so, over Yellow Slacks and back down. Well, we've reached the crossing point here for Yellow Slacks Brook. Continues down the valley and does drop away quite sharply there. So anyway, we just got to crawl up Yong Bonk and then we should be on the top of the ridge. Just thought it's worth saying, with me being a newbie and all, I'm obviously on a very steep learning curve with all this. My advice is if you kind of live near the countryside, or if you're staying near the countryside to do some walking, obviously make sure you've got a map, make sure you've got an OS map downloaded on your phone if possible, because then you can see exactly where you are with the GPS, which is just fantastic. So I'm still here I'm no more than probably about an hour and a half from home at this point. So the great thing is I can see very clearly, you can see down there, I can see everything that is familiar to me. I know where the town is. I can see landmarks like Shire Hill, which is really familiar. So the good thing is, even though I'm walking paths I've never walked before, I can't go far wrong. Now some people might say you're talking shite, but makes sense to me. Now the only thing I would say is, of course, when you're walking in these areas, the terrain is quite challenging at times, especially when you've got a backpack on as well. There's lots of pitfalls when you're walking across heather, etc. There's peat pits and marshes. So, you know, if things did go wrong, they could go very wrong, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, I think I'll take my own advice, and for now, while I'm learning, I'm just going to stay no more than an hour and a half, absolute max 2 hours from home. That's what I'm going to do. Looking back now towards Shelf Benches, I'll just see if I can zoom in. Okay, I think that's it. Oh no, it's to the right, sorry. Got a tiny little screen on this camera here, so it's difficult to see. Yeah, we're looking back at Shelf Benches there, which is where we stayed, or where I stayed last night. It looks like it's quite a distance from there to here now. It's quite a pleasing sort of U shape that I'm doing here though. So yes, we're going along Yellow Slacks. Hoping the path is going to, where it starts to go steeply down there, that's where we'll be descending. This is such good fun, it really is. Highly recommended, everyone, highly recommended. We're learning all the time here, folks. So we're still on Yellow Slacks, so we'll be dropping down towards the path towards Old Glossop soon. That over there is actually Glossop Low. So there's quite a distance between Glossop Low and Yellow Slacks. So it feels like it's about the same sort of height actually. But there's a guy running over there I can see, you probably can't, I'll try zooming in. And hopefully you can see on screen there, you can just about make out a triangulation station. So that must be the summit of Glossop Low.
So yeah, learning all the time. Best way of learning is to have a look at the maps and then go and walk it, really. And a very enjoyable learning experience it is too.
Yeah.
So we just come down off what's called Light Side, back to the main path, Mossy Lee Path. And not far from Old Glossop now. Pleasure. Pain. Quite a contrast when you walk into this part of Old Glossop from the Mossy Lee Path. Quite a difference. As I was walking along here past these industrial units yesterday, I realised to my shock that here in little Old Glossop we've got an aerospace company. It's just through the trees there. Very strange. Who'd have thought it, eh? How in the name of all things that are sane did an absolute carbuncle like that get planning permission in a place like this? Unbelievable. Well, we made it back to Glossop safely, I'm pleased to say. Praise the Lord. And it's been a very, very, very enjoyable camp. In fact, it's probably more enjoyable than the one I did last time, to be fair, because the quality of the walk and the scenery was just a bit more sort of engaging. Definitely saw a lot more, walked further, and slept better as well. It was a really peaceful night. It was hardly any wind at all, and it was just the sound of the wildlife, and that was it. So that was fantastic. Now, next week, I'm hoping to be doing another wild camp with a friend of mine up the top of Kinder Scout. But the weather is predicted to be terrible snow and freezing temperatures, so it might not happen. If it does happen, obviously, there'll be another video. And if it's not next week, then possibly the week after, we might have to cancel it because of the weather. But that's what we'll be doing next, top of Kinder Scout. So yeah, the big one. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for coming along with me on these journeys. It's really cool. It's really nice as well, after I've done it, to be able to edit it, not only for you guys, but for my own posterity, really, you know, to take a record of these adventures. And it's fun editing things and putting music on and putting the clips together and coming up with something that you're proud of as well. So it's definitely worth doing. So I'm still a fledgling channel. I do appreciate you watching. I do ask you if you would like and subscribe and recommend to anyone else you know who's into this sort of video. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.